Hey everyone, it's been a long time. I have a cool video to share today because I managed to finally clear Ketsui a few days ago. It had been on my to-do list for a while, so I'm happy about this one. So for this video, what I'll say is, at first you can already see stage 1. I'm doing some light scoring, but there's not all that much to say. However, I do have a lot to say about this game, so I'll first start by sharing my experience with the game, how I got into it, what I think of it, and then I think later in the run I'll start commenting a bit more about what's actually happening on screen. So how I discovered this game, of course I knew about the game itself by name because, you know, everyone's been talking about it for a while and I was pretty sure I was going to enjoy it. But I felt I was not ready to play this game yet. I felt like this was a game that was sort of keeping for later down my shmup journey, that I would play later because, you know, I felt like I was not really probably good enough for this. And also I wanted to, you know, have something to look forward to. It's always nice to feel like there's this legendary game that's just out there waiting for you that you'll play at some point. But I was at a friend's and you know, that friend has a few arcade cabinet and he put the PCB, the arcade game, on there, so pretty much had to look at it. Before that I was making a conscious effort not to look at any footage of the game because I didn't want to get roped into playing it, but you know, it happened. So the game was on there, I tried it, I played a few credits. Instantly I felt like it had a similar feel to Crimson Clover, which is a game that probably my favorite shmup. It's actually the other way around. Crimson Clover feels like this game, but anyway, I got instantly hooked. I wanted to play it more. It took me a while, so I started playing in August, on and off. I have been playing a lot of Street Fighter 6 as well, way more than shmups, to be honest. And I had a few times where I had to stop. I was on holidays. I also had a major health issues a few weeks ago where I couldn't play for a few weeks, and actually affected my sense of balance and my eyes and visions. It was pretty bad. I'm way better now, but it pretty much made it impossible to play shmups. Now, on to my thoughts about the game. Obviously I love it. You know, the visuals, the music, you're listening to the arrange music, the vert arrange, which I think is probably the best for this game. The gameplay is super brutal, it's intense, there are no breaks, the pacing is really strong. It just feels really oppressive, which is a feeling that I like. And if you don't play aggressively, the game will straight up kill you. Like, you can't just wait at the bottom of the screen and try to kill all the enemies. That will straight up not work. It's very difficult, but it does give you tons of resources, so I like this. There's room for creativity, creating your own route. Yeah, I'll mention this mid-boss stage already. This mid-boss is actually quite challenging already, so I think I'm gonna be safe and just use a bomb here probably. This is dodgeable, but yeah, exactly. I have a high rate of dodging most things in the game, but when you put them all together in a single run, then the percentage of me messing up is quite high. So, you know, for this run I'm playing pretty safe. The goal is to get the 1cc. This is the first one that I got, so I'm trying to minimize risk as much as possible. And you pretty much see that by stage 2 I've abandoned the idea of doing any scoring. Pretty much I'm basically just playing for survival now. Yeah, on to why I like the game. Like, I think it has really unique and strange patterns that you don't see in other games that will catch you off guard at first and you have to learn them, but it's a pretty cool experience. The scoring system is amazing. It's based on proximity. I won't get into all the details, but basically you have to get up close and personal with the enemies if you want to score, which makes it so, you know, you have to play risky. So there's a nice balance. The risk reward system is really good, and it's still not as rigid as a traditional chaining system like you'd find on Dodonpachi, for instance. If you mess up, you can still score well. So I do like that about the game. It's pretty fun. So I'd say overall it's the best shmup that I played. I think I like it even more than Crimson Clover. I think it's a straight up masterpiece, to be honest. It's almost perfect. I have a small nitpick in stage 5. We'll get to that later. Also, there's a bit of RNG, you know, in terms of patterns in the games, and sometimes you get the easier version, sometimes you get the more difficult one. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but, you know, it's there, so you have to accept it. I just got the first extend. There are 2 score extends and 2 hidden extends in the game, so it's very generous, as you'll see. But even still with those, it's still kind of challenging. Like, I think this game has a reputation for being extremely hard. I don't think it's as hard as people say, to be honest. I think that mostly relates to the requirements for the second loop, even just reaching the loop. And there are 2 different versions of the loops. They're ruthless, like really, really difficult. If you're just going for a 1-all, which is what I was going for here, it's actually very manageable. You have to, you know, use all your bombs before dying. It sounds obvious, but it really makes a huge difference. And for a bullet hell, the bullets are actually pretty fast in this game, so you can get, you can get got pretty easily, to be honest. Another thing you'll have to do if you want to clear this is practice the stage 3 mid boss, which is coming up really soon. You'll have to practice that a lot. I practiced it over 100 times on practice mode, because if you destroy that boss by destroying all the small parts before killing the core, pretty much, and if you don't use a bomb, then you get a hit and extend. But that's the only way to do it. So there's a specific way to kill it. This is the boss. So and it looks really difficult. It's actually not that hard, but you can still mess up really easily on the final pattern. So here, you know, I'm getting rid of that chip. I'll go up there because the core is at the center. I don't want to destroy the core yet. I want to destroy the small turrets and everything. And then when there's that cancel, yeah, that's, you know, then I'm fine. I'm waiting a bit because there's the boat that will come on the left. Exactly, I want to kill that before getting to the final pattern of the boss. And this, when you destroy, this is when it gets a bit chaotic. There are several versions of this pattern, and I mess up, you know, despite, like, my clear rate on this is like, so I still get the extend because you can die as long as you don't use a bomb to damage the boss. You will get the hidden extend, which is nice. But at the same time, messing up here and losing a life so early in the game is pretty bad. My you know, clear rate for the mid boss is something like 90% at least, so I usually get that right. This happens a lot. Like, I tend to clear on the runs that are a bit messy. I think, you know, unconsciously, I'm probably thinking at this point, like, well, you know, I messed up. I'm gonna keep going anyway. Maybe I can still clear even though I lost a life. If I lose another one, it's gonna get really hard, at least for me at my skill level. But, you know, I guess I'm sort of not feeling that much pressure anymore because I already messed up and lost a few bombs. I think it was 2 bombs. This boss can be a bit difficult as well. The patterns are weird. There's a bit of RNG, so sometimes you do have to use a bomb, especially with the Type A ship that I'm using. There are 2 ships. The one I'm using has a better shot because the spread is really large, but it's much slower than the other ship. I think overall this one is probably stronger if you want to get it clear. But against this boss specifically, it's not that great because you'll see, I don't know if I end up using a bomb. I don't remember. For instance, this pattern, yeah, I'll use a bomb here because it was, I went the wrong way and it was almost impossible to dodge. Sometimes it can be impossible if you just get unlucky. So here I destroyed the left part. That makes it easier to dodge everything. And then this final pattern looks very impressive, but it's actually very easy. You just hug the blue line in the middle on either side and then you'll make it anyway. So, you know, this run is actually not too bad so far, but definitely not one of my strongest runs. But, you know, 3 lives, 3 bombs by stage 4. This is where the game starts actually getting challenging. The stage 4 and 5, you just have to learn them by heart, pretty much. You need a solid route because they're not as lenient as the first few stages, and you can you can get trapped quickly. You know, see, I'm like this first part of the stage is actually a little difficult. Some of the dodges are really tight, and you need to speed kill the enemies, otherwise they just fill the entire screen with tons of bullets. So this is a section I've practiced many times. I don't remember if I end up using a bomb. No, it doesn't look like it. Looks like I did it in a pretty clean way, which is good, which is nice to see. So at this point, this is almost turning into a decent run for me, despite the early loss. And all of this I know by heart. Like, you know, there's pretty much no way to get around these sections unless you know exactly where to go and where to stand. Which, you know, for a bullet hell, it's fun. Once you've learned it, it's fun, but at first it feels really brutal. And yeah, this is one of those games where when I started playing shmups a couple of years ago, I never thought I would be able to clear this one day. So it's also a pretty good feeling. This mid-boss is very dangerous. See, you can see especially this pattern, because you have to unlock, you have to unfocus and move in order to move quickly enough to dodge this, especially this one. So you can, yeah, you end up using a bomb. I think that's a good call. It's safe because I have 3 of those. So if I end up taking a hit here, my run is almost over. So I'd rather just use a bomb and play it safe. So now we're moving on to a section with this like nightmare enemy, which looks very, very impressive. But honestly, if you know where to stand, like the middle part is pretty safe. We'll see more of those later. And the other ones are a bit more difficult, a bit more challenging. Again, this is a section I've practiced a lot. So this part of the stage is weird because it actually scrolls to the left automatically. So your ship is actually moving automatically. So, you know, you pretty much don't want to move too much, otherwise you will just run into things. And at this point, you know, they did something that I thought was really tricky, is then you get the same enemies, but the screen is scrolling the other way, so it's really easy to feel disoriented and start messing up. This is actually not too bad, and then we'll get to the section with the 2 nightmares, which is a little more challenging. Here I messed up. I don't know. Yeah, I probably used a bomb. I should have killed all the enemies, but I left one alive on the left. Here, so I managed to destroy the nightmare on time. That gives you a cancel, which is nice. And here I'm just playing it safe. I'm not sure I needed to use that bomb, but it's still fine. And here, so when you destroy the nightmares, you get a cancel. And this is just, you know, it's not as difficult as it looks. Like, it takes some practice, but it's doable. Thankfully I get a bomb, so now this is turning into a good run for me. 4 lives and 1 bomb here. It's not too bad. This boss is really cool. I think this is the coolest boss in the game, but there's also quite a bit of RNG, so you can get killed really easily. This pattern is very strange, and at first I couldn't make any sense of it, but now, you know, you just need to look at where the small ships are going and what order they're going in, and then you'll just have to do it automatically. It's actually, you know, once you know it, it's easy, but at first it's very trippy. So I made it through the first phase. This phase is very dangerous. Like, you can just die, get unlucky and die here. So thankfully I make it through. This phase is cool. So you have to let go of the lock and lock onto the disco ball here at the top. I ended up taking a hit here and having to use a bomb just to, you know, gather my thoughts. This is a little unfortunate because I usually don't die on that part, but I think it's just the accumulation of, you know, everything. Like, the game is so intense that you end up making mistakes that, you know, on other runs you wouldn't make. This pattern I'm not very good at, so I end up using a bomb, you know, just to speed kill the boss. I'm not very comfortable with this one. It's a little strange. Like, you have to go fast, but not too fast, otherwise you get trapped. So I'm starting the final stage, still stage 5, which is where most of the difficulty lies, to be honest, with 3 lives and 1 bomb. And there's a hidden extend coming up later in this stage, if you get lucky, because in some cases you don't get the hidden extend. I'll explain when we get to that. So the early part of the stage, this is pretty easy if you're just playing for survival. Then you get the, like, yeah, that golden bat ship. This one is really dangerous. I messed it up. So at this point, a good run, decent run is turning into a bad one. I was probably a bit upset by that point. And this is also a very dangerous part, so I'll end up using a bomb. it's all very doable without bombing, but once you mess up, it's a bit hard to recover, especially in this game, because things pile up and you don't want to lose life, right? So this is also why I'm using bombs here. I'm trying to play it safe and trying to go as far as I can. I think at this point I was not expecting to clear on this run. I've managed to do the final stage, you know, coming into it with no lives, and just getting the score and hidden extent, which means that just 2 lives, which is pretty good for me. But I'm not consistent with that. Usually I need 3. So this is still within my abilities, but it's not looking like a great run. And before I had great runs and I messed them up somehow. So, you know, you never know how things will turn out when playing shmups. This is where you get the hidden extent. So you have to kill both ships without using a bomb. So I use a bomb in between, but it doesn't touch them, so that's fine. And here, if you kill it, yeah, then you get the 1-up. But sometimes what happens is that extend and ends up flying off screen and you don't get it. So I had a great run where I had 4 lives at this point. I didn't get the hidden extend, and I think I got so frustrated with it that I just killed my entire run pretty much right there. This meat boss is very dangerous. I've lost many runs to it. It's a little inconsistent as well. Sometimes the patterns get a little more challenging. This is not too bad so far. And, you know, I don't have any bombs, so this is actually pretty nice because I can just dodge and take risks without, you know, without feeling pressured, because I don't have a choice anyway. So I can just go for it. This pattern, I can't remember. I probably messed it up. Yeah, I did. It's dodgeable, but it's very confusing for me still. At this point, 2 lives, 3 bombs. This is still okay. It's not awful, but it's not a great run for sure. I'll have some dodging to do. And we're, you know, coming up to the most difficult parts of the game. The second part of the stage, stage 5, is actually quite difficult, you know, compared to all the other games I've played. In terms of difficulty, to me it took me around 60 hours altogether to clear the game across 3 months. But again, that's because I played a lot of Street Fighter, so I was sort of unfocused about the game. And I rank it slightly below Crimson Clover Arcade Original, but slightly above Esprade, which I've cleared earlier this year. This is a little more difficult. Here, this is a really bad mistake. I think at this point I'm just kind of hopeless, feeling like, you know, I might as well use my bombs, but I'm probably not gonna clear because the rest of the stage is difficult, so I'm gonna need those resources. And also, you know, before this run, I had only made it to the final boss a single time. I've practiced it a lot, but, you know, only once in runs. So that was the most difficult part of the game that I just got through using bombs. You know, the like elevator descent is really difficult. This is not too bad. You can just use White Shot and clear all that up. But then there are a few sections that are coming up after that where you want to be like, you want to have resources, you want to be cautious. Here I think I'm gonna try to do this without using a bomb, and I think I make it through. Yeah, I do, which is nice because, you know, at this point I'm trying to save bombs for the final boss. This part is really tricky because they will pile up and you have to kill them as soon as possible, and sometimes you get, yeah, so I make it through. That is nice. This you have to route. It's easier if you move to the left and do this one again. It's not too bad. You have to just dodge at the last minute. The next one, the next like tank thing, this one is more confusing, and I've lost a lot of lives here, so that's why I'm playing really careful. And then you get like 6 of those special ships coming here. So yeah, I'm just bombing, trying to get rid of them. Here I'm trying to survive. Yeah, this is a really big important dodge because, you know, I'm gonna get a bomb before the final boss, and then that means I have one opportunity to mess up. So this is not too bad. At this point I feel like, you know, maybe I can do this even though it's just the second time I make it. I've locked on to a single leg, which is what you should do to optimize damage. Here I'm feeling very nervous. I think you can see the sort of like twitch dodges and I don't want to mess up, but at the same time, I don't want to use my bombs right away. So I'm keeping it for later. I can't remember. Did I use it here? No, I did not. So this is pretty nice. But I messed up with the locks. As you can see, I'm locking onto different legs now, which means, you know, I'm not doing much damage. So the boss is going to loop through patterns more times. I usually get confused by these patterns, but I make it through. And yeah, it's coming up again, this same pattern, which is not too bad if you dodge in a U shape, but still, you know, at the end it gets like, yeah, you get a lot of stuff on screen. But I haven't used my bomb, so that's pretty nice. I'm probably going to use it here pretty soon on this pattern, right? Yeah, just so that I get some peace of mind and feel like I can try and dodge without feeling the pressure of, you know, having to think about bombing. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, this pattern, these are patterns that I know and have dodged many times in training modes. Ouch, that's a bad death. But yeah, now the pressure is piling up again. I'm using a bomb here. I can still make it through, I think, because I have 2 bombs for this final section, which is actually not too bad. The entire final boss is, I think, is not very difficult for a cave game. And I end up making it with a bomb left in stock, which is nice, you know. So I was surprised to get the clear on this run. I was really not expecting it, but I was happy about it. I think I can do better. There are many things I can optimize. And, you know, people clear this game by getting to the second loop without losing a life or even using a single bomb. And they get the hard version of the loop, the aura one. I'm never going to do that, I'm pretty sure, but that still means, you know, all of it is very doable if you practice enough. But yeah, go back to the game. You know, I really like the setting of the game. It's like the near future bleak modern war setting. In terms of story, it's some sort of suicide mission where the pilots are not allowed to come back and they're just gonna die, so it's basically some sort of descent to hell. It's really cool. I recommend it. If you haven't played it, you know, try and get a hold of it, because to me this is, yeah, so far it's the best one I've played. I haven't played all the shmups, but this is really cool. So that's about all I had to say about the game in terms of thoughts. I hope this was enjoyable. If you have any comments, any questions, let me know in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you next time then. I don't know what I'm going to be playing next. I know everyone's playing DOJ and Salmaho. I'm just still playing Ketsui. But, you know, I don't know if I'm going to play Dioja soon or not. I will at some point. I just feel like it might be too much of a good thing to play them, you know, back to back. So we'll see. Anyway, I hope y'all doing great, and I'll see you next time. Bye.